Over 200 people are dead, and scores remain missing after devastating flash floods struck India and Pakistan in just 24 hours. What started as torrential rains has turned into one of the deadliest natural disasters to hit the region this year. The scale of destruction is beyond comprehension. Entire villages have been wiped off the map, families torn apart by raging waters, and communities that may never recover. The numbers are staggering, the human cost is immeasurable, and the worst part, this could be just the beginning. The disaster began Thursday morning when intense cloudbursts, sudden, violent downpours over small areas, struck the mountainous regions of both countries simultaneously. In the remote Himalayan village of Chositi, nestled in India-controlled Kashmir's Kishtwar district, the true scale of this tragedy becomes clear. This isn't just any village, it's the last stop accessible by motor vehicles on a sacred Hindu pilgrimage route to a mountainous shrine sitting at 3,000 meters above sea level. Thousands of pilgrims pass through Chositi every year, making it a bustling hub of religious activity.
A sudden burst of rain over the Himalayan town of Chosoti, sending torrents of water and mud tearing through the valley. The town was crowded with pilgrims gathered for an annual journey to a remote Hindu temple. But in minutes, the celebration turned into chaos. Officials say the flood swept away a community kitchen where many pilgrims had gathered and even washed away a nearby security post. Scores are missing, and local hospitals are treating more than 100 injured.
On Thursday, that spiritual journey turned into a nightmare. The cloudburst hit without warning. Within minutes, walls of water and mud came crashing down from the mountains, carrying everything in their path. The community kitchen, where over 200 pilgrims were sharing a meal when disaster struck, was completely swept away. Security posts, temporary shelters, and vehicles, all destroyed in seconds. At least 60 people were confirmed dead in Chositi alone, with another 80 still missing and feared washed away. These aren't just statistics. Behind every number is a family destroyed, a life cut short, a story that will never be told. Harvinder Singh, a local resident who immediately joined the rescue efforts, spent hours pulling bodies from the mud. He personally retrieved 33 bodies, working alongside emergency responders in scenes that would haunt anyone. Imagine the terror of those final moments, families eating together, children laughing, pilgrims sharing stories of their spiritual journey, all suddenly engulfed by a torrent of mud and debris. Sneha, who gave only her first name, embodies the human cost of this disaster.
बिल्कुल अभी रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन जो लगातार चल रहा है, लेकिन ये जो नया वीडियो आया 5 अगस्त 1:50 पे जो फ्लड आया था, और अभी तक जो वीडियो सामने आया है वो हमने मुखबा गांव से सामने की तरफ देखा है, जिसमें दोनों तरफ के यानी जहां पर होटल एंड रिजॉर्ट थे उस साइड का और दूसरी तरफ जहां मंदिर और गांव था उस तरह का वीडियो सामने देखा। लेकिन ये धराली का जो पुराना गांव है, ठीक उसके राइट हैंड पे पहाड़ी पर गांव है, वहां से लिया गया और जिसमें साफ देख सकते हैं करीबन 15 से 20 लोग भागते हुए दिख रहे हैं। जो मुखबा से हमें वीडियो दिख रहा था इसमें भागते हुए दिख रहे थे, लेकिन ये बहुत करीब से वीडियो है। जो पेड़ दिख रहा है वो पूरा सेब का बाग है, वहाँ पे काफी बड़े सेब के बाग है। उस सेब के बाग से वो आपको दिख सकता है कि भागते हुए दिख रहे हैं और कुछ लोग जो उसमें 2 लोग लास्ट में बचे वो तेजी से गंगोत्री नेशनल हाईवे की तरफ भाग रहे हैं। और जो वीडियो है बहुत ही नजदीक से लिया गया वीडियो है, जिसमें साफ दिख रहा है कि राइट हैंड साइड पे जब तबाही आई थी उसमें कैसे वो घर टूटे थे और करीबन 15 से 20 लोग कैसे भागते हुए दिख रहे थे। लेकिन उसमें से सिर्फ 2 ही लोग दिख रहे हैं लास्ट में निकलते हुए, भागते हुए, बचते हुए, लेकिन बाकी जो लोग थे वो उस मलबे के नीचे दब गए हैं। इसी तरह से वीडियो इसलिए सामने आ रहे हैं क्योंकि जब ये वीडियो लिए गए थे सिर्फ मुखबा से नहीं, धराली और उसके आसपास के गांव से लिए गए थे और उस समय जो लोग वहां पर मौजूद थे, लेकिन नेटवर्क और मोबाइल बिजली नहीं होने के कारण ये फोन बंद हो गए थे। अब चूंकि जब नेटवर्क रिस्टोर हो रहे हैं तो ये वीडियो सामने।
She watched helplessly as floodwaters swept away her husband and daughter while they were eating at the community kitchen. She and her son were nearby, close enough to witness the horror but too far to help. They had come for pilgrimage, seeking spiritual fulfillment. Instead, they found unimaginable loss. Across the border in Pakistan, the devastation is equally severe. In Pakistan's northwestern Bajaur district, the situation became so dire that rescue helicopters were deployed to deliver emergency supplies. But nature had other plans. One helicopter carrying relief supplies crashed due to deteriorating weather conditions. killing all 5 people on board, including 2 pilots. The very people trying to save lives became victims themselves. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, at least 16 people died and 8 were injured as Thursday night's downpours triggered widespread flooding and landslides. The districts of Lower Dir, Bajaur, and Abbottabad bore the brunt of the destruction, with entire villages cut off from the outside world. Flash floods and landslides in the Jabrari and Salarzai areas caused extensive damage that will take years to repair. The survivors describe a sound like thunder that grew louder and louder until they realized it wasn't thunder at all. It was their world being torn apart by rushing water. In Salarzai alone, 9 deaths were confirmed, with 2 people in critical condition and 17 people still missing across the district. District Emergency Officer Amjad Khan and Deputy Commissioner Shahid Ali are leading rescue efforts, but they're working against impossible odds in terrain that becomes more dangerous with each passing hour. The broader impact extends far beyond these immediate areas. Major highways have been transformed into rivers, with infrastructure completely overwhelmed by the force of nature. The Kaza Toll Plaza on the Hyderabad-Vijayawada National Highway, a crucial link between Andhra Pradesh and Telangana states, has been completely submerged. Only the top of the toll gate signs remain visible above the floodwaters, a stark reminder of how quickly normalcy can disappear. The rescue.
Some news coming in from Vijayawada, and these are dramatic visuals. This is, remember, as heavy rainfall is continuing in several parts of the country, and here you can see a toll gate has been completely submerged. Just take a look at that. Only the top, signs are visible, and this is the extent of water in this area. So dramatic images coming in from Kaza. This is the Kaza toll gate, we're told, which is completely submerged. This is as heavy rainfall continues in Andhra Pradesh. So dramatic images emerging there from Vijayawada. This is one of the toll gate that is completely submerged. Remember, heavy rainfall continues in parts of the country, leading to flooding and waterlogging in several neighborhoods and streets as well. And in Andhra Pradesh, as you can see in this particular area in Vijayawada, you have the toll gate completely submerged by the flood water.
Rescue operations paint a picture of both heroism and heartbreak. Teams of disaster management officials, police, soldiers, and local villagers worked through the night, pulling survivors from streams filled with mud and debris. They managed to rescue at least 300 people on Thursday alone, bringing some hope to an otherwise devastating situation. At least 50 seriously injured survivors were rushed to local hospitals, many rescued from waterways that had become death traps of mud and debris. But for every person saved, there are others still trapped, still missing, still hoped for by families who refuse to give up. Mohammed Irshad, a disaster management official, warned that the number of missing people could still increase as rescue teams gain access to more remote areas. The village that once welcomed pilgrims with open arms has become a search zone where every piece of debris might hide a victim. What makes these disasters particularly terrifying is that they're becoming an increasingly common pattern across the Himalayan region. Experts point to the devastating 2013 cloudbursts that killed over 6,000 people, and more recent floods in 2023 and 2024 that have claimed hundreds more lives. These aren't gradual floods that people can prepare for. They're sudden walls of water that give communities no time to evacuate or protect themselves. Climate change is undeniably a major factor in the increasing frequency of these cloudbursts. Rising temperatures are changing weather patterns in ways that make extreme precipitation events more likely and more severe. The problem is compounded by unplanned development in mountain regions that disrupts natural drainage patterns and puts more people in harm's way. Kishtwar district, where Chositi is located, exemplifies this problem with multiple hydroelectric power projects that experts have long warned pose threats to the region's fragile ecosystem. According to Pakistan's National Disaster Management Authority, more than 477 people, mostly women and children, have died in rain-related incidents across the country since June 26th. This latest disaster is just the most recent in a series of weather-related catastrophes that have been battering the region for months. The Gilgit-Baltistan region has been particularly hard hit, experiencing multiple floods since July that have triggered landslides along the Karakoram Highway, a crucial trade and travel route linking Pakistan and China. The timing of this disaster adds another layer of tragedy. The annual Hindu pilgrimage, which began on July 25th and was scheduled to continue until September 5th, has been suspended indefinitely. Thousands of devotees who plan to complete their spiritual journey now face an uncertain wait, while those already in the area struggle with
Experts warn that extreme weather events are becoming more frequent in the fragile mountain region.
In 2013, we had the cloudburst, which triggered glacial lake outburst flood in Uttarakhand in the Kedarnath region, and then we lost more than 6,000 people. And recently in 2023 and 2024, we've had also floods and landslides in Himachal Pradesh in the Himalayas, and also Uttarakhand, which is also in the foothills of the Himalayas.
Authorities
the trauma of what they've witnessed. Weather officials have issued warnings that make the situation even more precarious. More heavy rains and potential floods are forecast for the area. The Indian Meteorological Department has predicted continued heavy rainfall for the next 72 hours in several districts. This means rescue operations are racing against time, working in dangerous conditions that could deteriorate at any moment. It also means that survivors and rescue workers alike face the constant threat of additional disasters. Chief Minister Ali Amin Gandapur has directed officials to deploy all available resources for relief operations with special focus on Dir and Swat districts. Helicopters have been sent to assist in rescue efforts, though weather conditions continue to pose challenges for aerial operations. Both state governments are actively monitoring the situation, with chief ministers holding review meetings with district collectors. But beyond the immediate rescue efforts, this disaster raises serious questions about long-term preparedness and adaptation. These mountain communities live with the constant threat of such disasters, yet many lack the infrastructure and resources needed to protect themselves. Early warning systems, evacuation routes, and disaster-resistant construction are all lacking in many of these remote areas. There is hope, however, in the form of technology that could save lives in future disasters. Mobile apps that track water levels and provide real-time alerts are being developed. AI models can analyze weather data to make more precise forecasts than humans, helping anticipate future floods and hurricanes. Remote-controlled rescue robots can quickly drag people to safety in hard-to-reach spaces, while drones scout for survivors and can even dive underwater to assess flooded areas. These technological advances represent crucial improvements in disaster response capabilities. For the families still waiting for news of their loved ones, for the survivors dealing with trauma and loss, and for the rescue workers risking their lives to help others, this disaster is far from over. The immediate priority is saving as many lives as possible, but the long-term challenges of rebuilding calm, unities, and preparing for future disasters will take years to address. The images coming out of both Chositi and the affected areas of Pakistan tell a story that statistics cannot capture. Household goods strewn around damaged buildings, vehicles twisted by the force of floodwaters, makeshift bridges built to help stranded pilgrims cross dangerous channels. These are the physical reminders of lives turned upside down in a matter of hours. As rescue operations continue and the full extent of the damage becomes clear, one thing is certain: this disaster will be remembered not just for its immediate impact, but for what it reveals about our vulnerability to extreme weather events and our need to better prepare for a climate-changed world. The people of Chositi, Bajor, and other affected areas deserve more than our sympathy. They deserve action to ensure that such tragedies become less frequent and less devastating in the future. The weather warnings for continued heavy rains serve as a stark reminder that this crisis may not be over. As rescue teams race against time and weather, the world watches and waits, hoping that the missing will be found alive and that no more families will have to endure the pain of sudden, devastating loss. This is more than just a natural disaster. It's a wake-up call about the urgent need to address climate change and protect vulnerable communities before it's too late.